Imagine sitting in class, eager to learn, when your teacher singles you out, not to praise, but to belittle you in front of everyone. That's exactly what happened to 14-year-old Amaya, a bright, ambitious black girl who became the target of her teacher's unfair and cruel remarks. What started as a routine school day quickly spiraled into an unforgettable nightmare, as the teacher's words cut deeper than anyone expected. But what this teacher didn't know was who Amaya's mom was, a billionaire powerhouse with a reputation for uncovering the truth and fighting for justice. When Amaya hesitantly shared her experience at home, her mom decided to dig deeper, unraveling shocking secrets about the school's administration. What happens next will leave everyone speechless, as one mom's relentless determination exposes far more than just a bad teacher. Stay tuned to see how this story unfolds with a dramatic twist no one saw coming. Amaya's mom, Gabrielle, wasn't just wealthy. She was known for her fierce advocacy and sharp instincts. As soon as Amaya explained what happened, Gabrielle's heart sank. Her daughter had always been confident, but now she seemed shaken and unsure. Amaya described how her teacher, Mr. Russell, had questioned her intelligence in front of the entire class, making pointed comments that felt less about her schoolwork and more about who she was. Gabrielle knew this wasn't just a bad day. Something deeper was going on. She began asking subtle questions, reaching out to other parents and students, and noticed a troubling pattern. Mr. Russell had a reputation, but most people were too scared to speak out. Behind closed doors, Gabrielle started connecting dots. There were whispers of favoritism, unfair grading, and worse. Every clue brought her closer to uncovering the truth, but it also revealed how far the school might go to protect its own. Gabrielle decided it was time to take action. She arranged a meeting with the school principal, Mr. Harris, hoping for an honest discussion. But as soon as she mentioned Mr. Russell's behavior, the atmosphere shifted. Mr. Harris seemed defensive, brushing off her concerns as misunderstandings, and praising Mr. Russell's years of dedicated service. Gabrielle left the meeting feeling stonewalled, but she wasn't about to let it end there. Meanwhile, Amaya struggled to return to school. Whispers followed her down the hall, and some classmates, emboldened by Mr. Russell's behavior, began to mimic his dismissive tone. Gabrielle noticed her daughter retreating into herself, and it fueled her determination even more. Digging deeper, Gabrielle discovered troubling documents buried in public records, complaints against Mr. Russell that had been quietly dismissed. At the same time, a surprising ally emerged, another parent whose child had faced similar treatment. Together, they began unraveling a web of complicity that reached further than they imagined. As Gabrielle and the other parent, Mrs. Collins, pieced together more details, the picture grew darker. They discovered that several students, all from underrepresented backgrounds, had quietly transferred out of Mr. Russell's class over the years. Some had left the school altogether. A pattern of complaints, ignored emails, and abrupt parent-teacher conferences painted a clear picture. The school had been protecting him. Gabrielle felt anger boiling inside her, not just for Amaya, but for every child who had suffered in silence. Things took an unexpected turn when Gabrielle received an anonymous email. It contained photos of documents from a school board meeting, showing the administration's deliberate efforts to suppress complaints against certain teachers to maintain the school's reputation. The email hinted at a powerful figure backing Mr. Russell, someone with ties to the school's funding. The stakes were higher than ever. Gabrielle knew she was walking into dangerous territory, but exposing the truth was no longer just an option. It was her mission. Just as Gabrielle prepared to confront the school board, a shocking twist threw her plans into chaos. The anonymous email wasn't just from a concerned parent, it came from a staff member inside the school. The sender, who identified themselves only as a watchful eye, warned Gabrielle to tread carefully. They hinted that the corruption extended beyond just Mr. Russell. The school's leadership, including Principal Harris, had been covering up multiple incidents to avoid losing a lucrative sponsorship tied to an influential donor. a donor who also happened to be Mr. Russell's brother-in-law. Gabrielle couldn't believe how deep the connections ran. The school wasn't just dismissing complaints, they were actively protecting their image at the expense of vulnerable students. And now it wasn't just about Amaya. Gabrielle had stumbled into a much larger battle, one that threatened to expose systemic failures. Then, out of nowhere, a cryptic voicemail arrived on Gabrielle's phone. The voice, distorted and untraceable, warned her to stop digging, or risk losing more than she realized. Gabrielle refused to back down, even after the threatening voicemail. She enlisted the help of a trusted journalist known for uncovering corruption. Together, they prepared a detailed exposé, armed with testimonies from other parents, students, and the anonymous whistleblower. On the day of the school board meeting, Gabrielle walked in with Amaya by her side, determined to confront those who had failed her daughter. As Gabrielle presented her findings, the room grew tense. Principal Harris tried to deflect, but the evidence was undeniable. Just when it seemed the board had no choice but to act, Mr. Russell himself walked in, flanked by his brother-in-law. They accused Gabrielle of fabricating the story to tarnish the school's reputation. But Gabrielle had saved her most damning evidence for last, a recording from a former teacher revealing how complaints were buried to protect funding. The room erupted. The school board, unable to deny the truth, announced Mr. Russell's immediate suspension and an independent investigation into the administration. As Gabrielle and Amaya walked out, relief washed over them. But just as they reached their car, Gabrielle received another anonymous message. It simply read, "This is only the beginning." In the weeks that followed, the school's investigation uncovered years of negligence and bias that had gone unchecked. Mr. Russell resigned under pressure, and Principal Harris faced mounting calls for his dismissal. For Amaya, returning to school was still challenging, but the support from other students and parents who came forward gave her strength. Gabrielle used her platform and resources to push for meaningful changes, ensuring the school implemented new policies to protect students and hold staff accountable. Though the anonymous message lingered in Gabrielle's mind, she chose to focus on the victory she had achieved for her daughter and others like her. Amaya, inspired by her mother's bravery, found her voice again, using her experience to start conversations about fairness and respect in education. As they sat together one evening, Gabrielle reminded Amaya, "No matter how powerful someone seems, the truth will always be stronger." Their fight had made a difference.